Right, so I just got back from seeing Masters of the Universe today. I'm not a He-Man fan, but the marketing intrigued me, and I have some vague interactions with the franchise. I watched a handful of episodes as a kid and had a He-Man action figure back in the day. Pretty sure I had a Skeletor too, but that doesn't matter. Let's talk about the movie. Before we do, be warned, there will be spoilers. The plot is a tad bit predictable. It's your standard hero is sent away from his home when the villain takes over the place, only to return later in his life and defeat the villain. It has all the cliches you expect, including the whole second act hero thinks all is lost only to come back and defeat the villain in Act 3 thing. But I think that's all somewhat forgivable because let's be honest, no one's really going to see this for groundbreaking, innovational cinema. They're going for a nostalgia trip or a generic action romp, and there is nothing wrong with that. In terms of the acting, it's not terrible. The guy voicing Skeletor is having a great time, even if his voice is a bit too Voldemort-y for me at times. Also, they pretty instantly take away a lot of his aura because they have a comedic moment instantly. Don't get me wrong, Skeletor can make jokes later, but in his establishing scene, it just felt a bit out of place and kind of undermined his feeling as a threat in the film. But all of the characters seem to be having great times. It's not just Skeletor. The whole cast are putting on wacky, fun performances that are so fun to watch. And I'm kind of glad the movie doesn't take itself too seriously in that way. But don't get me wrong, when it needs to be serious, it does. Like the scene where Adam's dad dies. That felt pretty serious. They acted that well. But back to acting briefly. The cast all has such chemistry, which aids how fun it is to watch them. Particularly Idris Elba and the guy playing He-Man. They are great. Every scene with those two is honestly a delight. And I'll tell you what, the child actors actually aren't too bad either. A lot of the time, some child actors can really take you out of the film because they're just not good. I don't mean to be horrible, but it's just the truth. But I'm happy to report that's not the case here. The soundtrack's okay, the licensed stuff is, what you expect, but the original score is pretty mediocre and generic. It's just kind of your basic action theme with some regal accents to highlight the themes of the movie. And it pains me to say that because Daniel Pemberton, of all people, composed the score, and he's usually really outstanding. But here, kind of mid, not his best work, I will be honest. The script is pretty funny at times, despite Skeletor's kinda out of place joke at the start of the movie. He-Man really does carry the jokes though, particularly the scene of Adam using HR lingo mid-fight. I like that one. I also like the joke of him running off to change into He-Man like a regular comic hero, because having been on Earth most of his life, he would have been aware of that dual identity trope. But it's not all wins. I don't like that the film does a lot of words that sound like swear words and cutting off bad words halfway humor, which is fine once or twice in a 12A, you just kind of expect that, but they over rely on it here and it gets stale quickly. I have a couple more notes. The fight scenes are well choreographed and the costumes look pretty good and are decent translations from what I can tell. Again, not a huge He-Man fan, so I could be wrong on that. Someone who has seen the movie and maybe, knows more about the character could tell me down below if I was correct in that presumption, but for now I'm satisfied. However, I didn't like the blatant product placement. There's Mattel toys all over where the Sword of Power is found, and an Amazon truck just straight up hits the first monster. Like, talk about a lack of subtlety. Finally, how was my theatre experience? I actually had some silence in a screening for once, and that was amazing. Too many times in recent months have I gone to the cinema and just had teenagers sounding off and like disruptions, and it's so annoying, particularly backrooms. It was horrific. But today, I don't know if it was because I went at like 10 in the morning or just because, it's the middle of the week or whatever, but I was happy to tell you that I didn't have any of those problems. And I'll tell you what made me even more happy. Finally seeing some older people actually come to the cinema and see this. I'm glad this film did that, and maybe it will make older people go out and see more films, because the cinema industry, as much as we don't like to admit it, is dying. And if this can bring more audience members to the theatres again, I can only love it even more for that. But yeah, that's my He-Man review. Thought it was pretty alright. Better than I expected. I had a good time with it. But what did you guys think? Whether you're a He-Man fan or not, I want to know your opinions. And if you are a He-Man fan, seriously tell me. I want to know, how well did this thing translate the property that you care about? Because I know that in past times that has been something that's bothers me. So let me know all your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you later. Goodbye.